Figured I'd start a little bit early, that way people can kind of join in if they like. Got my buddy with me. You. My buddy. Treats help too. You said? More shake. Go boy. You other paw? No, other paw. Go boy. We'll just chill until people get here. Yeah. You're loving this, huh? I'm gonna lick off my makeup. So this is the first time I've done one of these streams, at least in regards to just talking about stuff instead of just watching me groom. So keep that in mind. That's kind of a little awkward for me because I've never done it before, so this is all new for me. But I thought, you know, sometimes when people come in to drop off their pets, there's not a lot of time to actually talk, ask too many questions, and things like that. So I figured, why not just do a small little live stream and just, you know, ask some questions that people might be curious about or either had forgotten when they dropped off their dog for grooming, or just things they hadn't thought about until later. And then, you know, life gets busy, so. What? I know you're loving all this attention, huh? Hi, Jamie. Thanks for joining. We're kind of just chilling right now until other people can join. I figured I just start it up a little early so people see it and can kind of join in then, so. I know, you want to look out the window. You like looking out the window. So then you can see the birdie. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Can I join you? Hopefully we don't break the table. You're just too good, dude. I know, when people come over, they don't get to see this calm side of him. He's always like crazy excited and happy to see people. Which on that note, for people that do come over, he does not know personal space. So he will dart out the door, but you don't have to worry about him running off. All he wants to do is see you or see your dog. So he'll come right back. And the same thing with my little one, Lily. You don't have to worry about her. Worry about them running off if you open up the door and they dart out. It's not a big deal. They're very well behaved in that sense, and they kind of know better, so. I know, you found something out there to look at, didn't you? What? I know. I'm getting hair all over my black pants. That's not a shocker, I guess. Well, it's a little after 6 o'clock, so. Well, the problem is I only have a couple questions to answer unless somebody asks a question. I can just kind of do some basic information, you know, if you'd like. One of them that was brought up to me, which I get a lot actually, is how often, like, can I bathe my dog too often? Which, you know, just like with people, you know, their skin can dry out just like us. So it really just depends on your dog. If you use a high quality shampoo, I mean, when he was a puppy, I bathed him every week and had no problems with it at all. Sometimes if you use like a real cheap shampoo, sometimes that can dry their skin out because it's got more of the like sulfates and stuff in it. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind. But again, all dogs and cats and people are all different. So sometimes, you know, there is a too often depending on your dog. But most of the time I like to say no. It's not really a big deal. I've never had that as an issue, at least, you know, in my job. So So is there a too often? As far as I know, not exactly. Again, not quite a straightforward answer. For short hair breeds, a lot of people don't really think that they need too much of a bath or anything, but it actually is really good because even though they're short hair, they still lose hair like every other dog. You know, even dogs that don't shed per se, they still kind of have, you know, when you brush them, you still get a little bit of a coat out of them, just like with us, you know, we kind of have our own little hair turnover. And I haven't done the actual research myself, but from what I've read in the past and what I've read, you know, most commonly, is that dogs tend to shed their hair, you know, they have a hair turnover of about 21 days. So if you're thinking about that, even from a short-haired dog's standpoint, that's about every month. If you get them groomed every month, you're going to keep on top of that extra dead coat that's in their skin, or in their fur. So then you'll have less hair, obviously, around your own home. We came across a discussion of this on cats. I don't know if it's the same for cats. Again, I haven't really researched it or looked into it, but I would assume so. So same thing, every month is probably good, you know, to bathe even your short-haired cats, if they allow it, or at least brush them, just to kind of help get that extra dead coat out. And again, with short hair breeds, if you keep them brushed out and keep all that dead coat out, they are going to be able to circulate their body temperature better, because all that dead coat is going to just kind of sit in there and then make them hot because the air can't circulate through, you know, their top coat. So another reason why we kind of don't like to shave short-haired breeds, but give them a good brush out. And again, if you do it often enough, you don't have to worry too much about the hair. And then, of course, they stay happy and kind of regulate their own temperature. Yeah, like you. You shed like crazy. He loves looking out the windows. He can look out the windows all day. As to basic home care for your pet, it really just depends on your dog. I mean, it's really hard to just give like a basic information because all dogs are different and all have different kind of requirements in regards to which tools are best to use and things like that. Obviously, a good brushing on any pet really is a good thing to do. It creates a good bonding experience with them too, because you're spending time with them, and most pets see that as attention. They don't see it as, oh, I'm getting the dead hair out. They just see it as attention, so they like that. So they don't really care exactly what you're doing. So again, you kind of just have to look into what breeds you have and what kind of brush or tool would be best to help, you know, do that in maintenance. You're just going to pass out here, aren't you? I know you need a bath. You're all greasy. Ugh, look at that. Even my own dog doesn't get a bath as often as she should. So let's see, we got Tammy. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Marcy. Thanks for joining me so I'm not talking to myself. Because it was a little awkward. It's actually not that bad, to be honest. It's kind of nice to give information, you know, that, again, I don't feel like a lot of people have time to ask, or at that moment there's a lot going on, so, you know, this thing tends to go over your head, all the information. But if anybody has any other questions, I don't really have anything preset per se. I don't know really if it's more of like you want to know what, you know, why I got into grooming, or I'm not sure exactly. Like I said, this is kind of just a thing that I thought would be nice to do. That way if people had questions or just wanted to get to know me a little bit more. You know, working with other people's pets, it means a lot to me because, you know, I never really thought of it as a big deal, you know, when I was just a groomer, but when I actually sent him to doggy daycare, I was like that, you know, when I dropped him off for the first time, I was like, if anything happens, give me a call, like, yeah, there's my phone number, like, let me know. And so it's like, I totally get it now. I totally get it, you know, why sometimes it's hard for people to drop off their pets, because you're dropping them off to somebody that you know, but you don't really know, and, you know, it's a lot of trust involved, and I really, really appreciate all the trust that I get taking care of other people's pets. Oh, and I'm sorry, I can't read this thing. In regards to treats, I generally don't. And the only reason I don't is some dogs have, well, I guess there's multiple reasons. One of the reasons is some dogs have allergies to certain treats. And some dogs are so picky also when it comes to treats that it would just be hard. But the biggest reason is I don't have 3 hands. So most of the time I'm always holding the dog with one hand or touching them or, you know, or however with one hand while I'm trimming or clippering with the other hand. So unfortunately I just don't really have another hand to like give treats while they're doing it. There are certain occasions where, you know, after we blow dry, I'll give them some treats, but not like during the whole process because, again, like I said, it's hard when you only have 2 hands. Plus, sometimes they can be so food driven that they get so distracted by if they see that I have a bag of treats or something. So it just kind of makes things a little bit more complicated. So I generally try to stay away from treats and try to just do more verbal. You know, good girl, you know, and just that high-pitched sound, you know, as affirmation that what they're doing is good, or, you know, no, that's not what I would like you to do, and just, you know, kind of teach them that way, because they kind of learn both ways. Again, it kind of just depends on the dog, but generally treats is one of those that I try to stay away from, just because it can make things more difficult. Plus, I know certain pets, when they're stressed, or even just in a different environment, they're not interested in eating. Like, that's the last thing on their minds. Because sometimes I'll try to give them water or give them, like, you know, food or whatever, and they don't want to take it because, you know, it's just an odd area that they're in that they're not really used to being into every day. He's just sleeping over here. Can't even see him. Watch. Watch. What's that? Oh, don't hit your head. I know, Mommy brought some treats for you too. Plus, most of the dogs I groom, they get so accustomed to just what, you know, this is what we do every time, and okay, this is fine, and so, I mean, I might have to, if I had to, would only have to do it a couple times, not even all that much before they don't really need that, you know, positive affirmation. What? I know, you wake up for food. This one loves food, that's for sure. Yeah, see, he'd be too distracted. Come on, he's a good boy. So for those that don't know, I guess, this is my dog Discord. He's an American Brittany. I have 2 domestic short-haired cats. One's a black cat, named Strider. The other one's orange and white, just like he is, named Nihilus. And then I have a little Bichon mix named Lily. So you guys will see her every once in a while too when you come. And most of the time you see the dogs. Every once in a while, rare occasion, people will see the cats. They kind of get brave and will come out and say hi. Hi, Heidi. Oh, Willow and Emmy, I love them. They were so sweet. I'm so glad I got the chance to do those two. Especially something kind of out of the norm. It's always kind of fun to do something a little different, you know. Not that I don't love doing every dog, obviously, but sometimes just same old haircuts kind of get a little boring after a while. So sometimes they're nice once in a while to just mix it up and do something different, so. Especially meeting new pets. I always love to meet new pets and just see how they are, and it can be repetitive, but I always love seeing everybody's pets. Speaking of that, that is something else that I don't think a lot of people realize with grooming dogs, is that they, to me, aren't just a pet that I groom. They're not just, you know, I'm not just looking at it from a money standpoint. Like, I get really attached to some of these pets. I mean, I cry if they pass away, you know, I get really bummed if they have to move, you know, of course, which I all understand, everybody has to move and, you know, things happen, but I really do get attached to these pets because, you know, I do see them every 4 to 5, 6, 8 weeks, you know, you get to kind of just get in this habit that you see them all the time and you know their personalities and, you know, you kind of have a little bit of a bond with them. So, you know, they're never just oh, that Shih Tzu that comes in for grooming. Like, most of the time, sadly, most of the time we know them by the dog's name and the last name because we see them and talk to them more than we do their parents half the time. So sometimes I feel bad when I don't remember the owners' names. Mew. I know, it's hard losing. I haven't had to lose my own pet yet, but I have lost a lot of clients, you know, due to their old age and stuff, and it's sad. It really is. So we definitely do get attached, and I feel like that's with most groomers. We all get attached to, you know, your pets, and we love them just like our own, and we miss them. Yeah. There's a birdie out there. Oh, you see bunnies. There's bunnies in the neighbor's yard. Lots of bunnies around our area. We go through little spots where we have a lot of rabbits, and then we'll have a lot of cats running around. And then, of course, the rabbits are gone. And then the whole cycle starts over again. So he likes the rabbit time because you see all the rabbits. He's a hunting dog, huh? I said I really don't know what everybody wants to know, so I don't know what to say, I guess. I mean, I guess a little bit about me. I originally got into dog grooming. Well, let me start back a little bit. So when I was in high school, I took this class called co-op class, which you were able to like work half the day and then go to school half the day during high school. So I ended up working at a place as a dog bather. So I started there. And at that point in my life, I didn't, you know, really know what I wanted to do with my life. I mean, I loved animals. I always loved animals. So I kind of thought, oh, hey, let's go maybe like a vet route. So I actually had job shadowed at the Chillicothe Clinic that I, you know, work at occasionally now. So it's kind of funny now that I look back on it. But I job shadowed over there and watched a couple surgeries and things like that. And then I was like, no, this isn't what I want to do. So I worked in co-op as a dog bather, and I decided that I was going to do this apprenticeship program that they had after I got out of high school. So I did that and kind of just figured, you know, this will be a good job until I figure out what I want to do with my life. And that was the start of it. And then I just decided that, hey, I really like this, and made it my career and made it my life. And I wouldn't change it for anything, to be honest. I mean, obviously, in any job or career, you have your days, you have, you know, moments where you doubt yourself and things like that. But overall, like, just being able to see different animals and, you know, work with them and gain their trust and just make people happy. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for, to be perfectly honest, but what do you use to get rid of odors such as skunk? Well, that's a hard one. I'll admit, I don't really know. I have heard that since skunk is an oil, like the skunk odor is an oil that sits on your dog's fur, that you want to use something that is oil-based to help, like, grab a hold of it. So, like, oil, I guess, attracts oil. And like I said, I haven't done my own research. This is just a lot of what I've heard. I'm in a lot of grooming groups that discuss a lot of these types of things. So I kind of read a lot of this stuff, but I've never actually personally looked into it. But so supposedly oil attaches to oils. So if you put an oil on this, you know, your dog that would have the skunk oil on it, it should grab a hold of that, and then in turn when you rinse it, would rinse it off. I guess water actually would activate the oil or the odor, which, I don't know, sometimes confuses me a little bit, but that's just what I've heard. So like the other day, I had a dog that had possible poison ivy. Well, poison ivy is an oil that sits on your skin or sits on their fur. So what I did is I used a conditioner and, you know, just put straight conditioner, did not wet the dog first. Put on conditioner first in the hopes that the oil of the conditioner would grab onto the oil of the poison ivy. And then rinsed it off. I don't have poison ivy, so I'm assuming it worked, or the dog did not have poison ivy. I don't know. So to be honest, I don't know if there is like a foolproof answer for how to get rid of the skunk scent. I mean, I know a lot of people have had a lot of success with different things, but as to if it's like foolproof or not, I don't really know. Let's see. Hi, Christine. I know you're like, who'd you say hi to? He doesn't get it. Animals just don't get it. Yeah, like I said, I'm in a lot of grooming groups, and they talk, you know, a lot about products and, you know, things like that. Where, you know, and again, I've never went into or had the time to actually like go in and look at my own research and things like that, but I do have a lot of that information, you know, kind of at hand, which is really nice because I have learned a lot just even from like spectating on some of these groups, because there's hundreds of groomers on there and we all go through different experiences. So it's really nice to see either, you know, I'm not alone, or someone else has had the same issue, or someone has figured out a good way to take care of this that I wouldn't have thought about, you know, things like that. And even in terms of, you know, taking care of my tools and whatnot, same thing. So, oh, sorry. I know there's a gnat or a fly or something in here, isn't there? What? Oh, you're a good boy. Thank you for joining me. Make it a little less awkward, I guess. Let's see, what time is it? It's already been 20 minutes. Okay, this isn't so bad. Kind of like it. What? No. You got fuzz on your eyebrow. Hold on. Goofy. I don't really like that I have my own little room in here. So we can be alone and just talk to you guys, and it's nice and quiet. I don't gotta deal with the cats or anything. Yeah. So as most of you know, I do work at a vet clinic during the day, Dunlap Vet Clinic 2. And I've just recently started working at the Chili Clinic, only twice a month though, just to kind of help cover over there. And then of course I do this in the evenings and on the weekends. And I have a lot of people that ask me, you know, do I ever plan on just doing this full time? Which, you know, I always give them the answer of, I don't really know. And to be honest, I don't really know. Like, I love the benefits of working at the vet clinic. Like, I mean, not everybody can drop off and pick up right after they're done, you know? So, like, there's so many different pros and cons to both home and the vet clinic. Because at home, you know, originally why I started this home business was to work with pets that kind of just needed a quieter environment, or, you know, less distractions, because, you know, sometimes the phone's ringing, people walking by the door, you know, just simple distractions like that. And then of course just a vet clinic, you know, just like when you walk into a dentist office or a doctor's office, it just kind of has that smell, you know, and for people that have a fear of those places, you instantly like get anxiety from just going into these places just because they kind of have that smell. So sometimes I wonder if the vet clinic is kind of the same way. You know, sometimes I would imagine it's hard for a dog to distinguish, oh, hey, I'm coming here for grooming, versus, oh, I'm coming to get shots, you know? But most dogs, they don't seem to care, you know, they come on in and, you know, it doesn't matter to them. And that's how most dogs are, but some dogs obviously just need a little more special attention and just need a quieter environment and need, you know, a little one-on-one. So that's why I really like having the option of the home business, but also working at the vet clinic. So I don't know if I'll ever make this full-time, to be perfectly honest, because I kind of just like having both. I know you'd like me to be home more, but plus I can accommodate a lot more people at the vet clinic than I can at my home. So for that, you know, even for that, can only do so many in a day at home with, you know, doing one dropping off and one, you know, and then picking up and whatnot. Versus at the clinic, we have everybody kind of drop off in the morning, can do multiple pets, and they pick up later in the day. It saves a little time in the, waiting for pickup and whatnot, but. So I've been grooming for, let's see, I finished my apprenticeship in April of 2007. So I've been grooming for 12 years. Holy cannoli. I didn't even realize it's been that long. Time flies, it really does. I love that he loves to be on the table. He was groomed so often as a puppy that he loves it. It's just an ad, don't worry about it. I really don't know what else to talk about, I guess. Besides like basic home care, things like that. Nail care. I always get really nervous, telling people or showing people how to do, their own dog's nails. And, it's not by any means has anything to do with like the money aspect of it. It's more of, it can be kind of panicky, if you end up cutting your dog's nails too short. If you do trim your dog's nails, you can use cornstarch or flour if you happen to get their nails too close. But the main reason that I don't really like people at home to do it is because, if they do nick a nail, some dogs have this really long memory period where they'll remember that forever, so then they just always think that that's going to hurt when you do their nails. So I personally always play it safe when I do nails, just because I would rather their nails just have like maybe a tiny bit extra on there than to nick them and then they, think that it's always going to do that. It's always going to hurt every time she does my nails type of situation. And I would much rather do that and have them have a good experience. See, I should have came prepared with more questions. And this video will post, I'll post it afterwards too. So people who couldn't make it to the live, at least they can listen to it, and see if there's any information in here that they like, or that they could use. It's more so, I don't really know what is the most knowledgeable thing for, because it's one of those things where as a dog groomer, like I see certain things that I think would bug me as an owner, but I'm a dog groomer, so I see it, and I don't think owners see, it's kind of a weird thing. Kind of going on a weird tangent here, but, so it's like, I don't know, there's certain things that I do just out of, like, habit or, like, common sense for me as a dog groomer, but I don't know if that's, like, common sense for everybody, just as a regular dog owner. I don't know. So that's why it was kind of hard for me to come up with questions myself to figure out what to ask, like what to answer. So luckily I had a couple that someone had asked. Do you have a specific kind of music you like to groom to? Not really. Kind of just like what I feel that day. Sometimes if I have a really busy day, I like to listen to something more upbeat. Me personally, I kind of like techno and stuff like that. I know that's a little odd for most people. But sometimes if it's just like a real laid back day, sometimes I'll just listen to some country or, or just whatever. I'm pretty flexible when it comes to music. I don't know if music matters to the pets now that I think about it. Because I know, like, certain techno and stuff could probably give, God, go away, stupid gnat. Maybe give people anxiety because it's like so upbeat. I don't know. But generally my go-to is techno and country, which is like totally opposite sides of the thing. Like this is kind of, well, I don't know if you guys can even hear this music, but it's kind of techno-y, like electronica, I guess. And there's multiple genre names, I guess you could put to it. Thank you, Marcy, for all the wonderful questions. See, and it's like questions I wouldn't have thought, you know, like, I don't know what you want to know. Like, what are you curious to know, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I'm gonna treat. I know you love treats. You just stand up, lazy. There you go. Trying to think of like the most commonly asked questions. Does her hair grow back? Yes, it grows back. That is what I have gotten on occasion, which kind of confuses me, but yes, their hair grows back. If their hair didn't grow back, I would not have a business, and I would not have a career. So thank God it grows back. As to how often, you know, like we went over a little bit earlier about like short-haired dogs, how often you should groom them. And the main reason, you know, and I said the 21 days their turnover for their hair. Now, when it comes to like a poodle or whatnot, how often you should groom them really depends on your maintenance level. Like, do you brush them once a week? Every day? Never? Do you like them fluffy? Do you just like them short? So there's so many variables, you know, and every dog, just like every person, their hair grows at a different rate. I mean, roughly the same, but, you know, again, just like people, just differently. And then, of course, depending on what your dog's lifestyle is. Does your dog like to roll around outside in the mud and in the dirt and the grass? Or does your dog just sit on the couch all day? You know, so a lot of times with, like, Shih Tzus, I generally like to say anywhere between, like, 6 to 8 weeks, just to kind of like a maintenance level. But again, if you just get them shaved, you like them nice and short, and, you know, they have a nice coat, they don't really do a lot, I mean, you could go every 12 weeks or something. Again, it just really depends on your pet and their requirement. What breed's hair is the most difficult to groom? Ooh, that's a good question. Anything with super fine hair. Some Shih Tzus. Certain soft-coated Wheatons. Anything that's that super fine hair, because it tends to, it's almost like cat hair. Cat hair tends to chunk together or look greasy, depending on, you know, if your cat doesn't really clean themselves. So those kinds of dogs with the super fine coat are really hard to trim because they leave, really easily leave scissor lines. But they're also hard to upkeep even as a dog owner because they tend to tangle a lot easier because their hair is so soft and so fine. But as to a breed specific, I don't really know, because I mean, I know certain breeds, some soft-coated Wheaten Terriers have really nice hair because there's always kind of like little variations in their coat. It just depends. So yeah, I would just say anything with some super fine hair is pretty difficult to groom. And it's just more so that you could literally scissor it forever. Because you'll never, like, it's just so hard to get the lines out and things like that. So unfortunately, Marcy, probably one of your Havanese. I don't really know since I've never really groomed them, but I think your smaller one, I think he has finer hair, but I don't quite remember. So yeah, some Havanese, some Shih Tzus can have that coat. Like I said, some Wheatons I've known, even some Doodles, depending on the Doodle, because their hair coat can vary widely, depending on being like more of a coarse coat, to like a wavy coat, to a poodly coat, to sometimes they even kind of like mix a little bit. So then, of course, that's even more difficult because you're trying to straighten one coat and the other coat won't straighten because it's meant to be wavy. So I'm gonna have to think more on that and see if there's actually like a breed, at least not a breed that I do commonly. Because of course there are breeds I haven't groomed before, but like an Afghan, I would imagine their hair would be very fine and soft, but never groomed one. I've never got the joy of doing that, so I don't really know. But luckily most of the time they don't get haircuts. They just get good baths, brush out, and keep that long, flowy coat. And a lot of maintenance. I don't know how people keep up with that. That's a lot of maintenance. And I'm a dog groomer, so that says a lot. Like, I just groomed Lily the other day, and I feel so bad because she looked like a stray little mutt. She was so curly and so dingy. Sometimes we get so caught up in grooming other people's dogs that we forget about our own. It's sad. I feel bad. Another good reason to have him, because he doesn't require a lot of actual grooming. Like one grooming session and he's probably good for about 4 to 6 weeks. And then just some brushing, you know, in between, but other than that. Let's see, it is 6:35, so well, I guess we'll just go for an hour and do that. Hopefully my phone don't die. I didn't think about maybe doing this on my laptop. Didn't think that far in advance, I guess, but what? I know you're probably bored. You want to go out in the living room. I appreciate at least everybody who's came out to at least say hi. And hopefully you got some useful information out of this. I hope. Whether it be about me or just your dog's care in general. No, this table isn't meant for sitting, is it? I don't know. Can you come up with a question? Anything? What do you want to know? What are you doing? We're going to talk about music. I also have a essential oil diffuser. I guess you can't really see it in here. Essential oil diffuser and wax melts that I'll use sometimes. Essential oils work with dogs and cats, so I use that, you know, just more like a calming thing. And of course, for me, it gives me a nice little environment too. Nice smelling. But also kind of help calm them. think of a question or something. I think I should have came more prepared. I apologize in advance for not being more prepared. It's just hard to come up with questions from an owner's point of view when I don't really know what a question would be from an owner's point of view. Trying to think. Oh, a good topic would be anal gland expression and ear hair plucking. Those are two things that are kind of controversial in the grooming world. There are people that always express anal glands, and there are people that always pluck ear hair. You know, and when I was learning, we did that also. Always plucked ear hair, always did anal glands. But over the years, I've kind of learned that there is a little bit of a controversy over it in regards to whether it should be done or not. There's pros and cons to both sides. Working at a vet clinic, of course, you know, they see it, for the most part, we want to get the ear cleaned out as much as possible so it can breathe. So there's airflow into the ear. So that way we don't get infections that way. But there's also the other side of it, which kind of talks about when you pluck the hair, you're kind of leaving like a open follicle, I guess would be the best way to describe it. So then debris and whatnot could get into that follicle, which could then get infected. So like I said, it's really controversial. There's no like right or wrong answer. So with working from home and being able to kind of just make that decision on my own, I've decided that I just kind of go by, you know, dog by dog basis. I don't always pluck ear hair, and I don't always do anal glands. It really just kind of depends on the pet. Most dogs do absolutely fine with plucking their ear hair. No real issue. Some dogs that might be more sensitive might do better with not plucking their ear hair. Again, it's kind of just depends on the dog if they have issues. Because like I said, there hasn't really been like a foolproof, like this is how you should do it type thing. And kind of the same way with anal glands. Most of the time, and it's more of an issue with smaller dogs, that we want to express their anal glands because they don't really express them themselves most of the time. So we were, you know, I was always taught to always express them even on larger dogs, even though larger dogs tend to not have too much of an issue. So the issue behind that is that expressing them manually, you know, with us doing it, can weaken the muscles around the glands, which then makes it to where the dog can't do it ever. But again, it depends on the dog. You know, just like everything just kind of depends on the person. So again, with that, I've kind of just gotten to the point where if they're really, really full, I will, you know, express your dog's anal glands, no problem. But if they're just like, there's some in there, you know, no big deal, it's natural for them to have some in there because it's kind of like a scent gland. So then I'll just leave them alone, you know, no big deal. Most big dogs I don't ever really tend to notice needing their anal glands done. Again, on a rare occasion there might be. So again, it's been kind of nice to be able to make those decisions on my own, you know, from my own personal experiences versus like what I've been told to do. Which again, nobody's wrong, nobody's right. It varies depending on the dog. Or cat, in that instance, because cats have them too. I don't really know any cats that have any anal gland issues, to be perfectly honest. I've never, at least working at the vet clinic and in all my years of grooming, it's never come up as, oh, my cat has anal gland problems. So yes, if you specifically want your dog's anal glands expressed, you know, let me know, and I will make sure I do them every time. But otherwise, I kind of just go by, you know, if I think that they really need it done that day, or if there don't seem to be an issue. And the same thing with ear hair. If you would prefer me to not pluck the ear hair at all, let me know, and then I won't do it at all. Because otherwise, like I said, I just kind of do it on a dog-by-dog basis. If I feel like it needs plucked, I want to say maybe like 80% of the time I do pluck ear hair on most dogs. Again, just rare occasion that I won't. There's so many variables. Like I said, it's hard to say yes or no to, like, you know, a certain breed that I always don't do ear hair on or something. And of course, certain breeds that don't even have ear hair would be like labs and him and whatnot, so not too much of an issue. Although you do have to watch out with these kinds of dogs, or like springers that have like the real flat, long ears, like basset hounds and things, because their ears tend to like cover up their ear canals, so then the ear canal can't breathe, which then could cause issues. Tend to be like white cockers have a lot of ear issues. Because they have ear hair and the long floppy ears, so unfortunately they just got both worlds, so they tend to have more issues than other breeds. Like, a lot of cats don't have ear infections. I mean, I've heard of ear mites in a cat, but not necessarily an ear infection, but that's because if you think about it, their ears are constantly up, always, unless you have like a, what is it, a British fold or something like that. Scottish fold. I think it's a Scottish fold. Their ears are always up, so they always have, you know, airflow to their ear canals. You know, nothing really blocking it, so. What else is there? Trying to like look at my stuff to see if anything triggers a question that I could think of answering that might be a common question from somebody. Well, most of you would know from some of the live videos I've done that most of the dogs I do are good. I mean, I won't say that any dog's really bad, they just kind of have their certain things, you know, like some dogs will just sit a lot. They're not bad, they just like to sit. I mean, it's not like they're trying to bite me. So if I ever say that a dog is bad, I never mean like aggressive. That's never like the first thing my mind ever goes to, because that's kind of on a rare occasion that a dog would be aggressive. And I do always find it kind of funny sometimes when it comes to, like, you know, when you're trimming nails or plucking ear hair and stuff like that, that a dog might nip or snarl or something like that. Which, in that case, like, I totally understand. Like, you know, if you've ever gotten your nails done and they cut too close to your cuticle, it hurts, you know? And they don't really have any other way to tell you, hey, that hurt, besides snarling or maybe just kind of like, you know. And then ear hair, I mean, I know it doesn't hurt them, but I can imagine it's still kind of uncomfortable. But if they're like infected or something, then I can imagine it hurts. So there's very rare times where I actually muzzle a dog, because I like, you know, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting into a controversial topic at that point. I don't like to muzzle dogs unless absolutely necessary. Because when it comes to like doing nails or something like that, you know, if they snarl at me or if they, you know, even just like go for my hand or go for the nail clipper or whatever, again, most of the time they're just trying to say, hey, I didn't like that. Most of the time they don't really mean it. Again, on rare occasions have I had to muzzle a dog for nails or ear hair or something like that. Unfortunately, I know some people that, you know, the second the dog snarls, they instantly muzzle them, you know, which, again, to each their own. I feel like I tend to be able to read their body language a little bit better to know if they're just scared or if they really are gonna, you know, want to hurt me for some reason. But again, I feel like there's always a reason. Super, super rare occasions have I had a dog try to bite me, and I couldn't figure out, like, some reasoning behind why they would have done it. Most of the time, there's always some trigger or whatnot. And again, if it's a new pet, you don't really know a lot about them or their history. Especially if it's a rescue pet, you don't know, you know, most of the time rescue pets, we don't know their entire background. or their history with people or the grooming process, because sometimes dogs can be totally fine for everything else, but it's the grooming that they don't like and they cause problems. But again, we don't know their history, so we don't know what had happened to them in the past. So I really like to gain the trust of all the pets that I groom. Let's just say that. I mean, that is like my biggest thing, is to gain their trust, and that I'm not there to hurt them. You know, when I go to the hair salon, I mean, I don't hate it, but do I like to sit there for 2.5 hours? Not really. So I can imagine that from a dog's point of view. Most of all the dogs, you know, they tolerate it. I wouldn't say they enjoy it. Some dogs love it. They love it. They see it as attention, you know, and just getting all this loving. And then when they get done and get groomed, oh, mom and dad love me because I smell so good and I look good. And, you know, so some of them are like that. Others, they tolerate it. And then they go home and they're just like, okay, no big deal. So sometimes I hate when dogs come in and they're, you know, scared and nervous and like cowering, and their parents think that, you know, of course I don't think anybody thinks I abuse their pet or hurt their pet by any means, but, you know, I feel bad because it's like, it kind of makes me look bad, but also I feel like a lot of it is just like the separation between the owner. Like, they know mom's gonna go away or dad's gonna go away, and that's really what they don't like, and then they get here and they're just like, okay, do whatever, like, no big deal. It's, you know, just like dropping your kid off at daycare, like, it's the same for them too as it is for you, so. But I know, it does make me feel bad sometimes though, when they're like scared, nervous, but then they're like so happy when they get back there and they're done with their bath, you know, or whatnot. But we really do love your pets. I mean, there's a super, super rare occasion of somebody that just thinks of this as a job, you know, and doesn't actually care for your pet. I mean, I'm in many groups on Facebook of hundreds of thousands of groomers that all just love your pets. That's why they're in it, is to take care of you and your pets, and they love it. Yeah, and I'm no exception. Well, here, put your foot on this. There you go. Alright, well, I think I'm probably going to wrap this up unless anybody has any questions that they thought of real quick before we go. Oh, I was like, why did my music stop all of a sudden? I appreciate everybody taking the time to come say hi and listen to me talk. Because hopefully you got some information. If you ever want to see another one of these and you come up with more questions, or you can always feel free to just text me, message me on my Facebook page. However, I mean, most of the time I have time to just get back to you. Sometimes it's hard to explain things via text or message. But I'll do my best, you know, do what I can to kind of explain what I'm trying to say or answer your question the best that I can. Otherwise, you know, just write it down for your next time around, and when you come visit me, just ask me then. No big deal. Hi, Karen. Although we're getting ready to wrap up, but if you have a quick question, let me know. You're welcome, Marcy. I hope it helped other people too. Like I said, I don't know what's all common sense to some people. What's common sense to me is, a dog groomer. I don't know what's common sense to an owner. I know you need a bath. Man. See, and this is something else that I don't that I don't think other people notice. But as me as a dog groomer, I notice. Because sometimes when I go to friends' houses, or just other people's houses and I pet their dog, I kind of can feel, I'm like, oh, they really need a bath. But most owners don't notice that. But see, I'm noticing it on him because as I'm petting him, I'm getting this film on my hand. But see, I don't think anybody else would even notice the difference. They wouldn't be like, oh, your dog's dirty. I think he's dirty. Yeah, I think somebody's getting a bath later. Ugh, gross. Although he doesn't stay clean for very long because he likes to roll in stuff. Unfortunately. For me. And everybody else. Because he goes to daycare once a week too, and he'll roll in stuff there too. And I apologize to the daycare people for that. Because I know it's probably annoying. Do you have any last words? No? You sit up. Oh boy. Oh, you're being so lazy. But you're being so good. See, I wish you guys saw this part of him. And not his wild and crazy jumping on you, trying to get to your dog, and trying to get to you, and wanting to play with everybody. Do you even taste it? Oh boy. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming out and watching. Like I said, I will post this video on my page, so then that way you can watch it later if you weren't able to watch it, the whole thing. And again, if you have any other questions that you didn't think about, or you just happen to come up and think about it, go ahead and send me a message. I'll answer it the best I can. Thank you. Have a great day.